Welcome everyone to this final webinar of the Africa ELTA and EVE Female Leadership Mentoring Program. I would like to welcome all our attendees tonight. I'd also like to welcome our mentors from EVE among the audience, and of course our presenters, the stars of today's event. Before we start the presentations tonight, I would like to give you a very short introduction to this program. For those of you who have not heard about this program before, we are doing it tonight for the second round. We started the program in 2020 when Africa ELTA board identified the need for supporting classroom teachers in Africa who share success stories from their classrooms and need the support to present about their ideas in international and local events. And we started the first round in 2020 with 8 female classroom teachers from different countries in Africa. And I'm glad to say that tonight we are celebrating their successes because all of them have went to places, presented at different conferences and events, and we are going to be posting more information about their journey since they started the program till this year on our website very soon, and invite you all to check that page before we share it with our members. I'd also like to say for the second round that we started in 2021, we had the same vision of supporting female classroom teachers to share and present their ideas using international platforms like Africa ELTA and also other international and local platforms in their community and beyond. We have 9 teachers in this program who have successfully completed the program, submitted their conference proposals, and they are presenting tonight and next week. Tonight we have 4 presenters who are going to share with us their stories, their ideas, and their experiences from their local context. And next week we are going to have 5 more presenters to share their experiences with us. Those teachers have been mentored by EVE mentors for 3 months. They received mentoring on how to present using different public speaking skills, and also they received training on how to write conference proposals as we have identified this need among our teachers previously. So I'd like to invite you all to join us tonight and next week to celebrate these successful presentations. Our ladies are going to share great ideas and inspiring stories from the classroom, from their different countries in Africa. We have presenters tonight from Ghana, from Burkina Faso, and from Nigeria. And we have also more presenters next week from other African countries. Before we start the presentations, I would like to invite Sarah on behalf of EVE to say a few words before we start.
Hi, everybody, and welcome. Unfortunately, Fiona Morchlin couldn't be here this evening. She's at a conference in Portugal, but I'd like to welcome you and thank you all on behalf of EVE. And just to say, to echo what Amira has said about what an incredible journey this has been for everybody, for mentors and mentees. This is the second year with Africa ELTA, and there's also another program going on in Macedonia, and EVE hopes to expand the program even further next year. So without further ado, good luck for everybody in your presentations tonight.
Thank you, Sarah. And we are going to start right away with the first presenter tonight. But before we start, I'd just like to note that the presentation topics that you are going to hear tonight and next week are chosen by the presenters. The program does not promote certain topics for presentations, but you will find some themes that are common because our teachers share some common interests. They were invited to think of the topics and come up with their own proposals to present tonight. So I'm sure that you're going to enjoy their presentations. Our first presenter tonight is Marie Clements. Marie is an English teacher at a high school in Burkina Faso. She got her master's degree in English and joined the teacher training school in her country from 2013 to 2015. She has been teaching English for 8 years. In 2020, Marie received an award as the best English teacher in her local province from a student association in Burkina Faso. She's already a star. And she's going to share with us tonight some ideas on how to raise student awareness of global issues through teaching, reading, and listening. Marie, the floor is yours.
Yes.
Marie is going to present for 15 minutes, and then we will have 5 minutes at the end for questions and answers. If you have any questions, please type them in the chat box, and I will be able to answer and address these questions at the end after the presentations. The floor is yours, Marie.
Okay, thank you, Amira, for the floor. Good evening, everyone. Thank you to Africa, ELTA, and EF for this great opportunity, and welcome to our presentation. Okay, all right. As Amira said, my name is Marie Clements. I come from Burkina Faso, a West African country. And in Burkina, our official language is French. So I teach English as a foreign language. And I teach in a secondary school in a town called Manga. And there, my students are aged between 11 and 20. So tonight, my presentation is on raising awareness of global issues through reading and listening comprehension. All right, so before going into the heart of the topic, I would like the attendees to answer the following question. Why do you conduct reading and listening comprehension lessons in your classroom? I will be reading your answers in the chat box. Why do you conduct reading and listening comprehension lesson in your classes? Yes, I'm waiting for your answers. Okay. Yes, Amira, can you see the chat box for me? Right.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Can you? Not yet.
Okay, I can read the comments.
Okay.
So to increase the learners' vocabulary.
Okay, to increase vocabulary.
To develop or improve listening skills.
All right.
To help students to be able to read or listen outside the classroom.
Wow, amazing.
To provide the input before speaking and writing.
Okay, all right. Thank you for your brilliant answers. And to add to this, I can say that we conduct a reading and listening comprehension, yes, to help students understand the text and to raise the student communicative skills, to help the student become enthusiastic readers and listeners, to help the student develop their critical thinking, and also to raise the awareness of the student. And this is what I'm going to focus on this evening. Right, now during the listening and reading comprehension, what kind of activities can we conduct? Here, next please, Linda. We can conduct oral activities, written activities, and these activities can be in group or individual. So, and now, how can we teach English language skills while raising the awareness of students on global topics? And to do this, first of all, you need to choose a text or audio that is suitable for the student's level. And also the topics must be current and relevant to the student. If the topics are relevant to the student, they will be interested in following you. And also the usage of picture. You have to use good pictures because students, they really like pictures. And when they see pictures, they are eager to study the lesson and comment on the pictures. And also, as I said earlier, you have to come up with interesting activities to help them understand the text. Now, why should I raise my student awareness? It's true that I am an EFL teacher, and my task is to help my students speak English, and I do it. But as an educator, I should raise my student awareness on global issues, especially my student of second cycle who are aged between 14 and 20. And I think they are old enough to understand the challenges that the community face. And as a teacher, it is our duty to educate our learners, our students, and help them become reliable and trustworthy adults. So for me, it is very important to raise the awareness. We must not teach reading and listening comprehension just for the sake of teaching. No. Behind that, we have to help our students become better persons. Right, now through some samples of lesson, I'm going to try to show you how I do both at the same time, teaching English and raising awareness. So the first lesson is a reading comprehension lesson, The Tragedy of Migrants. Next, please. Okay. Now, to help the students draw. And next, please, Linda. Right, and on this slide, you can see that two pictures, so of migrants on a boat, and these on these pictures, I asked my student the picture and to descriptions of the on the boat camp, and they were able to say that, oh, these are really is not hygienic, etc. And now I gave them some activity.
Marie, we can't hear you well. Can you switch off your video? Maybe it will help. Okay. I think Marie is facing a connection issue. And I'm sure she will be back, so. We're going to wait for maybe 1 minute. Okay, thank you for waiting. I see her in and out, but yeah, when she's back, she might need to stop her video, so this will help with the connection. Yeah, these presentations are going to be posted on Africa ELTA YouTube. So you will be able to see them after the event.
Hello.
Hello, Marie. Would you like to stop
Yeah.
your video? Maybe it will help with the connection.
Oh, okay, I will. Sorry, I think a problem of network.
No problem.
Okay. Is it okay?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Okay, all right. Okay, so as I was saying, in these two pictures, you can see that the migrants are really in bad conditions. So as a group activity, I asked them to convince to advise their cousin who wants to migrate to desist from this idea. And they were able to give me some good ideas because they read it on the text, and also they add their own ideas. So, and as another feedback too, the history and geography teacher reported to me that when he came to conduct the lesson on migration and the consequences of illegal migration, the student came up with some very brilliant ideas. And he wondered where they heard these stories about migrants. And they said they studied it with Mrs. Basse at the English class. And really the teacher was amazed. So I understood that my aim, I reached my aim, and I was very happy for that. Now, the next lesson is on plastic weights. And the aim of this lesson was to raise student awareness on the bad impact of plastic waste on the environment. And as a leader, I showed them two pictures of dirty environment and a clean environment. I asked them to compare and contrast the two pictures. And they were able to say, oh, this one, it is dirty, and the other one, it is clean and very nice. And they would not like to live in the first picture, in the dirty one. So after that, I gave them some activities, and after these activities, as a group activity, I asked them to come up with ideas in order to eliminate plastic waste in our environment. So here, what was really interesting with this lesson is the feedback. The feedback was really awesome, because after the class, the student decided to act. They asked me whether they can go out and collect the plastic waste in the schoolyard, because they know the impact of plastic waste on the environment. And I didn't want to let them go, but they insisted. They told me, Madam, let us act now. And let us act now, this sentence was in the text, and they borrowed the sentence from the text. And all the classroom were saying, Madam, let's act now. And I say, oh, okay. As you don't have class after, so we can go and do the activity. And you can see on the picture, yes, this is my student and I, yes, collecting the waste in the schoolyard. And it was really fantastic, because the students were committed, and I was really happy that I reached my aim. Really, I was amazed this day, and I was proud to be a teacher, to be an educator. So, and after that, another feedback is that they promise not to throw away the plastic sachets in the schoolyard, and also to sensitize the peers on the drawbacks of plastic waste. Okay, so now the next lesson is a listening comprehension lesson, and it is if girls are educated. And really, I conducted the lesson on the second week of October, because October the 11th is the International Day of the Girl Child. And as I said earlier, you have to choose a topic which is relevant and current, and this is current. And I used to do that. I use my calendar to see the international days or the national days, and I try to choose a text related to the topic of the day. For example, on September 21st, we have International Day of Peace. I studied a lesson on peace, and I will show you this lesson after that one. I will show you that lesson after this one. Now, there is also the December 1st. It is about, it is the AIDS Day, the World AIDS Day, sorry, the World AIDS Day. And I studied a text on AIDS. So it is important to use this date also to come up with relevant topics. Now, well, if girls are educated was a very interesting lesson, because my aim was to raise the student awareness on the benefit of the girl-child education. So girl-child education is also a battleground in our country, because in our context, many parents don't send the daughters to school because girls are needed at home to help their mothers with household chore, or they are simply sent to big town to work as housemaid in rich families for sometimes miserable salaries, and this compromises their future. So it was important for me to talk about this topic. And as a feedback, I think it has reinforced the conviction of my learners, my students, that educating a girl is really educating a family, a community, and all the nation. So my last sample this evening is a reading comprehension lesson about peace. Yes, you know that our country is being bewildered by terrorist attacks. So for me, it is important to talk about peace to the youth, because they are the future of this country. And next, please, Linda. As you can see, yes, on this picture, the red areas are areas occupied by terrorists. So, and the yellow one is, yes, the area that are in peace. So you see that it is a big part of our country that is being occupied by terrorists. And really, I think it is good to talk about, to preach peace to the youth. They must know the importance of peace. We want the red part to become yellow part. We want peace in our country. So we as teachers, we must not stop preaching peace, and peace. Okay. So as a feedback of this lesson, I think that my students were able to tell me what does peace means to them, and they are really committed to sensitize their peers on peace, and also to cultivate love, tolerance, and acceptance, no matter the religious background or political background or ethnic backgrounds. And this was really an amazing, how to say, work we've done together, because they understood the aim of the lesson. So next, please, Linda. So for me, in a nutshell, the role of the EFL teacher is to teach the language, educate on social values, and raise awareness of the student on global issues. So as the quotation here, yes, say, teacher of English as a second foreign language to young children must impart English skills at the same time that they foster socialization and awareness. Okay, so thank you. At the end of my presentation, I hope you enjoyed it, and I'm waiting for your questions. Thank you so much for your attention. This was Clements from Burkina Faso. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Marie, for your presentation and for sharing your experience with your students. It's very inspiring. I hope you can read the chat box to see the positive comments from the audience. There is one question about how you select your topics. So can you tell us, like, how do you select the topics, and whether your students were interested at the beginning to try and experiment with these different topics that are not really English, purely English lessons?
Okay, thank you for this great question. Okay, I will say that, as I said in my presentation, I select my topics basing on the relevancy of the topic for my students, because I cannot go and talk about something that is not in our context, in my community. For example, when I teach the lesson about migration, it is because many young people here in Manga is the town where I teach. Yes, they like going to Europe or America to look for better conditions. So I have to sensitize them on this topic. And also the currency of the topic. For example, I can say that in 2020, when we closed the schools and we resumed in June, I wanted to study a text about coronavirus, and I found that my students were already ready with the ideas on coronavirus in English. And I said, oh, you are ready to give some advice or some solutions to stop the spread of the disease. They say, yes, madam, because we know you. We know that the first lesson we are going to study when we resume class will be on coronavirus, because it is a current topic, it is a relevant topic for us. And I was really happy and proud because they know me very well. They call me Mrs. Advice because every time I'm asking them to give advice or to give some solutions. Yeah, so it is really interesting, and really I have a lot of lessons on global issues. So my students, they are really interested in this kind of text, because if the text is boring, they will not follow. But they like English because my texts are relevant and very interesting.
Yeah. Thank you, Maria. We have another question about the parents. What do the parents think about these topics?
The parents, okay, I can say that because if the student, here we are in a small community, and I think the parents are happy with the work I'm doing with the children, because yes, if your students, if they like you, they will tell the parents. If I'm passing by, yes, many parents greet me, and we know each other because it is a small community, so they know what I'm doing with the learners. And I can say that the parents also appreciate my work.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, there is a very interesting question about the curriculum, and someone is asking, do you totally put aside the curriculum and select relevant topics, or you add it to it? Just ignore the curriculum. Yeah.
All right. So no, I was expecting this question because yes, you may ask yourself, oh, this lady, she likes talking about what she wants. But no, I'm following the curriculum. But this lesson, for example, if there is a special date or special event, yes, I slide a little bit from the curriculum. I hope my inspector is not here to hear me. Otherwise, I can be punished later. But really, I slide a little bit, and my inspector is someone who understands me, and he appreciates also the work I'm doing. From time to time, yes, it is. And even, for example, in the curriculum, we have some topics. So if the topic is about disease, I can see what disease is current or relevant for my student. Okay, I don't like talking about some diseases, past diseases like maybe smallpox, or I don't know. For me, this is not relevant for my students. So if they say disease, I will talk about coronavirus, I will talk about malaria, but surely not about smallpox, because it will be a little bit boring.
Yes, and I have to say that your inspector has to be proud of you, because you did something that students were motivated to do and also parents were happy about. So this is really a meaningful work that you have done. We have 1 minute, I think, for one more question. And there is the question about how often do you include these lessons about global issues in your class?
Oh, okay. How often? I will say in a month, maybe I can say okay, when I'm conducting reading and listening comprehension, generally it is on relevant and yes, current topic. So I can say whenever I have to choose, I have to conduct a reading comprehension or listening comprehension, I talk about global issues. But yes, sometimes out of the curriculum, but most of the time in the curriculum, but I choose my texts. I choose really interesting texts. I have a lot of texts that I adapted myself. Yes.
Yeah, and I really like that you are also integrating language skills inside the lessons. So they are also
yes.
language related. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, Maria, thank you very much for answering the questions and for the great inspiring presentation. Would you like to say a final word before we move on?
Yes, I would like. And my final word is that I'm very grateful to Africa, ELTA, and Eva for this opportunity. Thank you, Amira. Thank you, Fiona. Thank you to all the mentors and the mentees. It was really a nice experience. And a great and special thanks to Linda, my mentor. She has been really wonderful to me, and I learned a lot with her. Linda, you are really, really wonderful. I love you. And also, I would like to thank BETA, the Burkina English Teacher Association. Yes, they have been, my colleagues from BETA have been from a great support for me, and I really want to thank them. Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you, Marie. And
yes, and
thank you.
Sorry, thank you to all the attendees. Thank you to the audience. Thank you so much. I hope you really enjoyed it.
Thank you, Marie. You can read the chat box to see if people have enjoyed it. Now I think you can read it.
Okay, I will.
Okay. I think now we are ready to move on to the next presenter tonight, Yabu. Yabu has been teaching English for more than 20 years. She's currently a teacher at a school in Nigeria. She is the state coordinator of the English Language Teachers Association in Nigeria in the local chapter. On the reason for her to apply for this program, Yabu said that she has been trying to organize workshops to help her colleagues and teachers in her state, but she was finding it too difficult to invite good speakers, qualified speakers to come and train her colleagues. So she decided to take the initiative and join this program to learn presentation skills and also conference proposal writing skills, so she can cascade this training to her colleagues and also help them and train them in local workshops. Yabu is going to share with us tonight a very interesting idea about using poetry in the class. Yabu, you can now share your slides, I think. You're also muted.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Yabo Akintola. I'm presenting from Nigeria. The title of my presentation is Bringing Poetry Alive. As a young graduate, when I left school, I was faced with the challenge of teaching literature in English to senior secondary school students. From there, I discovered that teaching English language is quite different from teaching literature in English, especially the poetry aspects. And most often, some of my colleagues do shy away from teaching this aspect of English language. But right from secondary school, I find poetry interesting. So I wanted to actually pass this knowledge down to my students. I started consulting books. At that time in Nigeria, there weren't much of an internet and gadgets for me to consult from. So I made up my mind that I was going to help my students. So I read books. I started doing some practical lessons with my students in order to get them to find poetry interesting. And so with time, I was able to get them to begin to develop interest in poetry. Now, I would like to define poetry. Poetry is composition of one's thoughts, beautiful thoughts, imaginations, and this could be expressed in a written form, for pleasure and for communication. Basically, poems are written in lines and verses to create rhythm. And when poems are being recited, you will see that poems are musical in nature. So they are very unique, and most often you'll find out that poems have a different structure from other aspects of English and literature too. So with this, I would like to tell us some of the functions that we need to see from teaching poetry in our classes. And part of the functions that I eventually came across while teaching my students is poetry teaching develops critical thinking in my students. It develops their creativity as we work together to learn what poems are actually the messages in a particular poem. This has helped my students to develop their thinking and also develop their creative skills. Even some of them are beginning to write poems on their own. I also discovered that through poems, teaching poetry in the class, I've been able to improve collaboration among my students in the classroom. They tend to get better in working together as as classmates, especially when we are trying to analyze poems in the classroom. So these are some of the things we stand to gain when we teach poetry to our students. I want to encourage our participants to try as much as they can to bring poetry alive in their classrooms. Then I would like to go on to share with us some of the activities I usually make use of in my classroom when I teach poetry. Some of the activities include scrutiny approach. Here, I engage my students to scrutinize poems by searching for difficult words. As we know, most poems are with figurative dictions, which makes it a bit difficult to really understand what the poet is saying on the surface level. So I ask them to search for difficult words and they jot this down in their notebooks. And also, I ask them to look for expressions used by the poet to pass his message across in the poem. I also group them into different groups. So while I'm doing the grouping, I always try to bring in the good ones and the weak ones together so that they can help each other in each of the groups. So after they have done the searching and collated some of the expressions used by the poets, they exchange their worksheets. So group A gets to know what group B was able to discover from the poem, and also other groups too will share their ideas. And they also have the opportunity to ask questions about what they came up with. So you can also challenge one group. Why do you think what you came up with is actually right? So while they are doing all this, I moderate their activities in the classroom so that whatever they do, I'll be able to tailor it towards the right concept of what the poet is trying to talk about. Another approach that I make use of is the activities on figurative expressions. You know, I've already told us that poems are embedded with literary expressions with figurative meanings that we need to dig deep into before we are able to actually know what the poet is talking about. So I asked my students to actually search for literary expressions used in the poem. So with this in mind, the teacher I will jot down such expressions on the chalkboard as they're doing that. Then also, I will ask them to tell me the meaning of the expressions. They can't just, a student cannot just tell me that this line of poem is a simile. I will expect that child to, the student to tell me why he or she thinks is a simile and what is the poet trying to depict by using such figurative expression in that particular line. So all these ideas for my students I put together, I try to correct them. I harness the ideas to bring about what the poet is actually trying to bring to our attention in the poem. So I would like to take us through sort of a practical analysis of a particular poem. The poem is written by Niyi Oshundari. The title of the poem is Not My Business. I'll the poem aloud, but while I'm doing that, I want the participants to make their comments about the poem, to search for figurative expressions, naughty words in the poem, and write it down in the chat box as I'm going through the poem. As I've already outlined, that I take my students through these procedures. I would like to quickly take us through the setting of the poem, then the little background about the poet himself. And the poet is a Nigerian. He actually wrote the poem during the military 1993 to 1996. So this poem, he wrote it to address the injustice going on at that time. He used it to address the oppression going on at that time in Nigeria. So whenever I want to practically analyze a poem like this, I would love to read the poem enthusiastically. In the class, I'll try to dramatize the poem as I read. Then I will also call on some of my students to do the same. So I will expect them to read enthusiastically, read it in a beautiful way, dramatically as I do. This is just to arouse my students' interest in the particular poem we are studying. So I'm going to do the same so for the audience to see how I usually read the poem. Not my business. Niyi Oshundari. They picked Akoni up one morning, beat him soft like clay, and stuffed him down the belly of a waiting jeep. What business of mine is it? So long they don't take the yam for my severing mouth. They came one night, booted the whole house awake, and dragged landlady out. Then off to a lengthy absence. What business of mine is it? So long they don't take the yam from my severing mouth. Chinwe went to work one day, only to find a job was gone. No query, no warning, no probe, just one neat sack for a stainless record. What business of mine is it, so long they don't take the yam from my severing mouth? And then, one evening, as I sat down to eat my yam, a knock on the door froze my hungry hand. The jeep was waiting on my bewildered lawn, waiting in its usual silence. Now this poem, in the first stanza, the poet picked about 3 names. Those 3 names, in the first one is representing the people from the western part of Nigeria. The second name in the second stanza represents the northern people, while the third name represents the people from the eastern part of Nigeria, and also a female to show that the oppression at that time cuts across all gender, the two genders in Nigeria. So, and it's not limited to a particular tribe. Those are the three major tribes in Nigeria. So through this poem, the poet tries to illustrate the difficulties people were going through at that time, how their human rights are upon. When you look at the first stanza of the poem, the second line, as we have in the poem, says, beat him soft like clay. It shows simile there. The poet is trying to use simile to make a comparison between how a potter would manipulate a clay to make it into any fashion or any design he or she wants. Here, the poet is trying to give us an impression that people at that time are being molested, are being manipulated to just whatever the government at that time feels like playing them into. So that's part of the things that people go through at that time in Nigeria. So next to that particular line in the first stanza, you will see the line that says, and stuffed him down the belly of a waiting jeep. There we have personification in that line. The man was being stuffed into the belly of a jeep. Of course, a jeep does not have a belly. There's personification being used there to describe how probably excruciating the experience might be for the man who was being stuffed into the jeep without his permission. Now, this poem shows a reaction in the choruses at the end of the first three stanzas. There's a reaction from the poet persona or the speaker, who is so much unconcerned about what is going on around him. He's just feeling fine, eating his food. He's not bothered by what is going on around him. I think the poet is trying to say that people should not feel unconcerned about what is going on around them. Rather, they should not keep mute. They should not keep quiet. So this poet is a very important poet in Nigeria. One of his poems are being used presently for WAEC examination. So most often he writes his poem to address issues going on in the nation. Now, when you go to the second stanza, the poet too, the poet persona still maintains the same attitude towards what's going on to people around him. That lady was taken away, he feels unconcerned about what is going on. And the same fate happened to Chinwe, who is a female, the working class in our society, who got to her place of work and she was given the sack letter for doing nothing. There's no query, no warning, and no probe. Yes, she has done particularly nothing, but she was just being asked to go home. So her source of livelihood was taken from her. So that is, she's representing people in the working class whose means of livelihood were taken away from them, maybe for doing something that the government feels isn't right at that time. So those are some of the things that people went through during that time. Now, when we go to the last stanza, which is quite different, even in structure, from what we had in the first, second, and third stanza, there, the poet persona or the speaker who feels unconcerned about what is going on now met his own Waterloo. The fate of others came knocking at his door. While he was still relaxed, trying to eat his food as usual, a knock came at his door and he felt afraid. And you see that exemplified in the third line. A knock on the door froze my hungry hand. So that's the fate of others too came knocking at his door. Though people may feel unconcerned about what is going on around them, yet if they don't talk, if they don't react in any way, the same fate will eventually come their way. So through this poem, the writer tries to present the plight of my people during the military rule. So in my class, I'll tell my students to bring out naughty words from the poem, the words like stopped, the words like dragged, words like booted, and stainless record. All that, we put it together and we begin to analyze the poem to bring about the themes, the mood of the poet, and of course the tone of the poet. So all these are usually harnessed together with the approaches I've highlighted above, so that my students will be able to analyze poem. And I discovered that using these methods, my students have been able to write poems. They bring about, sometimes amazes me, wonder. So students can actually think on their own like this. They come up with beautiful and wonderful. And some of them have decided to write poems on their own. They write poems, they deliver it on the assembly ground, and sometimes they write poems to be recited at literary and debating activities in school, even at competitions. So I've been to bring poetry alive in my classroom through these methods. I want to encourage my colleagues. Even here in Nigeria, some of my colleagues do shy away from teaching poetry because of its peculiarity, because of the way most poets code their information through figurative expressions. But I want to put it to you that poems are very interesting, and we can always help our students to learn more poetry. I would like my participants to ask their questions in the chat box, and I'll look through it and I can try to answer their questions as best as I can.
Thank you very much,
Okay.
Yes, you can see the questions.
Okay, I can see the questions.
Okay, you can go ahead and answer them.
Okay, I want to thank Rita Bar Mawela. She said it's a thought-provoking poem. I love the poem myself. Thank you for that observation. Folu Agoy says, what role will I say poetry plays in society? Well, I would say poetry in the society is a medium of expressing our mind. And there's something happened in Nigeria about 2 years ago, and it really touched my heart. I actually wrote a poem to talk about that event. Even though I didn't print it, I didn't put it out in the open like that. I just placed it on my page, on my Twitter page, and I had some comments about that. So it's a form of, it's a way to express our mind, to tell people what we're going through, whether we like what we're going through or not. So at times, poems do not only address bad issues, we can also use poems to talk about things that we love. And the second question is, what will you say is responsible for apathy of many students and even teachers? Well, I would say that since poems are so much embedded with coded language, many people tend to find it difficult to actually get what poems are expressing. You know, it's not like a summary passage where you can readily read the passage or comprehension and get to know what the person is talking about. You have to go through the coded message of the poet in order for you to understand what the poet is talking about, then go through the background, the setting of the poem, for you to be able to have a clear understanding of what the poet is trying to pass across to you. And Kashum Diop says, what aspects of poem do you focus on when teaching poetry? Well, that is connected to curriculum. A curriculum in Nigeria here, we have African poems, non-African poems. We have poems that are like ode. There are poems that are like poems that talk about, that are praise, things like ode. So all these poems are packaged together in the curriculum. And so I have to follow the curriculum to teach the poems. Most often, we have the different types of poem being expressed in the curriculum. So our students get to know most of other poems through the curriculum. And each of these poems have been trashed out when I teach my students. Also, Mary Clements says, the writer of this poem had an impact on our society. I would say, yes, this peculiar poet, Niyi Oshundari, he keeps on writing poems about our society. I want to believe even the government at that time tried to pick him, like he expressed in the poem, but he was witty enough to sometimes use the animal representation to hide the people he's trying to talk about. He will use animals to present human behaviors. That is one of the things that the poet Niyi Oshundari uses to hide his meaning to poem, so that the government of the day will not pick him up and, of course, take him away from the society. Majolene, the secondant, I hope I mentioned the name well, she said, how would you correct a student while you're delivering or after the lesson? While I was talking, that whenever my students are collating their ideas in the classroom. I always moderate their ideas. I sometimes write down whatever they have on the board. And of course, I'll write the correct ideas they have, and I'll also correct their wrong notions while the lessons are going on in the classroom. Mahamba Sebastian, it's a great, thank you for saying it's a great presentation. So the question, what part of the poetry do you face challenges when making analysis of or teaching my students? Well, most often my students find it difficult to decode the hidden message of the poem. They sometimes find it very difficult to take note of what the poet is trying to talk about, even though they can bring out the literary expressions as they have been taught literary terms, right, from the junior school, even early part of their senior school. So most often I try to tailor their discovery to bringing out the main idea or the subject matter of the poem as I harness their thoughts together in the classroom. Thank you, David. Thank you, Mrs. Omolara Babiaka. Thank you so much. Thank you. We're back from Nigeria, my colleague. Thank you so much. Abigail says that it occurred that no matter how you tried, the student did not grasp the poem. Well, I will not say that I have 100% success rate in teaching my students, but over the years, I would say that some of my students have done very well. Some of them have become lawyers. Some of them have studied English language. And there was a time an advert was placed on our ELTA page on Facebook. And one of my students came up to say that, oh, if Mrs. Akintola is in this, she taught me literature in English in school, and I studied English language, I would like to be a part of ELTA. So I think I've left some impression on my students, and some of them have done very well in learning how to analyze poems and becoming poets even themselves. I think someone's also saying, what would you say is the tone and the mood of this poem? I would say the tone of this poem, according to, I think that's Ibere Ken, the tone of this poem is that of a feeling of unconcern about what is going on in the society. The poet personate presents himself as someone who feels so unconcerned about what is going on around him. He feels it does not really concern him. And I think the poet is not feeling okay with what is going on at all in the nation at that time. He's not happy about what is going on in Nigeria at that time. Thanks so much. In there it says poems being part and parcel of language teaching, bringing them into real life is very important. So I would like to thank my participants for all the questions, for all the congratulatory messages. I'm very happy that you are with me all through. I want to thank the organizers of the program, Africa ELTA Eve. I really appreciate you for giving me the opportunity to do this presentation. I'm so happy. I want to thank everyone who is here on the platform. I'm really happy. Thank you, Amira. You have been a wonderful president. I really appreciate you. And most importantly, I want to thank my mentor, Sarah Mount. She's my friend. In fact, I really love her. She's a wonderful woman. She's so great. She's so loving. She's so patient with me. And everything I have presented here today has been a lot of input from her. I want to thank her so much. And I thank her for my interest in poetry too. And I think we're a wonderful pair. She just told me that she loves poetry too. And so both of us are a wonderful pair. I want to thank everybody for coming up to listen to me. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Yabu. You inspired all of us with your passion for teaching poetry and also for sharing your inspiring experience in doing it with your students. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Amira.
Okay, and I think now we are on time for the third presenter tonight, Claudia. Claudia has been teaching English for 8 years in Ghana. She has been working with young girls from deprived communities in Ghana to promote literacy and volunteer to teach children during summer clubs. She will share with us today her experience on the role of teachers to motivate girls in education. I'm just going to mute. Okay, Claudia, let me make sure you have access to share your slides. Now you do.
Amira?
Yes. We see the slides. I think you just need to go to that. Yeah, okay.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Claudia, a teacher from Ghana. As a child growing up, I witnessed the struggles of my single mom who at a point had to leave my two sisters and I with relatives in order to further her education. I still remember the trauma we had to endure during that period like it happened just yesterday. Today, I look at the struggles of a lot of girls in sub-Saharan Africa, especially in Ghana, and I begin to wonder the extent to which the challenges they face affect their ability to attain early literacy and also put them out of grade. So I asked myself, what can I do as a teacher to support these girls explore their full potentials to become independent and relevant to their communities? And that is why my topic of interest is challenges of girls attaining early literacy, the role of teachers.
Claudia, can you just put it on a slideshow?
Okay. Are you okay now, Amir?
Yes, perfect. Thank you.
Now we take a look at some alarming statistics that we have here. We have 45% of girls not completing primary or secondary education. 78% live in rural Ghana, and only 7% literacy by grade 3. We have 48% of girls in rural areas aged 7 to 14 who don't reach grade 2 or 3 literacy. And this is according to UNICEF's research in 2020. These are some alarming statistics that we need to probe. So what are the causes of these girls lagging behind? The first that I would like to talk about is late enrollment. According to the Ghana Education Fact Sheet 2020 on page 27, it states that a high share of about 60% of children in grade 1 do not fit, as in their age is above the expected age of 6. So you see children age 12, 10, 8, 7, all in grade 1. And this affects their ability to attain early literacy because teachers have to struggle so much with the differences in age. The second is the use of unqualified teachers in our preschools and then the very basic level. The idea that the best teachers or the most qualified teachers should teach at the top of the academic ladder like universities and high school is highly misleading and ridiculous. You cannot build on a weak foundation. And unfortunately, these so-called teachers create a very lifelong literacy problems for these children. The next is high illiteracy level. According to the Ghana Statistics Board, we have about 21% of adult illiteracy. And we all know how the early stages are very crucial to language acquisition. So if you are coming from a home like this, you do not get the support you need at home to help you become literate at an early stage. The next is teenage pregnancy. In 2020 alone, the Ghana Health Service recorded almost 110,000 teenage cases in the country. Some of these girls are as low as grade 3, and this leads to a break in their education. They have to continue later, and virtually affect our efforts to get them become literate at a very early stage. The next is sexual violence in school. Some parents make a choice as to when to send their girls or enroll their girls in school because of some violence that occur in our schools. Some are even afraid to send their girls to school because of the long distances they have to travel to get to their schools. And a research is being done, and it shows that about 25% of our primary schools do not have junior high school. And if you go to Northern Ghana, about 40% of primary schools do not have junior high schools, which means that teenagers have to trek long distances to school. Once they get tired, they stop school. The next is overburdening girls with household chores. Yes, a report by Lindsay Chattel in October 2016 indicates that the gender gap starts when girls spend more hours on household chores. This research proves that girls between 10 and 14 years spend about 9 hours per week on household chores. This does not allow them to have enough time to read and also do other academic activities. Next is foster parents, and this is a very common practice in Ghana. Most parents, especially those in rural communities, send their children, that is the girls, to live with other privileged families in the cities with a promise that they will take care of the girls and send them to school, but that is not what happens. Most of them become house helps, some become babysitters, and the few who get the chance to go to school are not supported with the needed resources for them to be successful in school. And in Northern Ghana, about 72% of women do not see anything wrong with that practice. The last but not least is menstruation. In Ghana, 95% of girls sometimes miss school due to menstruation, a natural phenomenon. There is even a river in a part of Ghana where it is a taboo for a girl menstruating to cross when they are menstruating. So it means in every month, a girl who is menstruating will lose about 5 days at home just because they are experiencing something they did not bargain for. It is a natural phenomenon, but girls have to endure this. So what are the effects of these challenges that we have just seen? First is comprehension difficulties. Yes, they are not able to comprehend very simple texts. They can't even read well in the first place based on the statistics I shared earlier. And those who are able to read find it very difficult to comprehend very simple texts and take simple instructions. It also makes them to not be able to express themselves orally. So how they feel, what is happening to them, they are not able to express themselves well. This leads to poor academic performance. In Ghana, it's only 2 of the subjects that are taught in different languages, which is French and our Ghanaian language. So for you to succeed in any of the other languages, you have to read it in English. And if you are unable to read in English, it will affect your academic performance. And this leads to low self-esteem. When children feel like they are not making it, they are not succeeding at what they came to do in school, they start feeling the sense of not belonging to that space. And once that sets in, absenteeism is next. They start absenting themselves from school, and if nothing is done about their absenteeism, they drop out. When these girls drop out, you ask yourself, what do they do with their lives? Some engage in social vices, some become hawkers, prostitution, drug addiction, and all that can be seen in some parts of Ghana. And finally, these issues put them out of grade. Some are repeated for 1 or 2, for dropping out, for getting pregnant and staying at home for some time. These are all effects that I can pinpoint from my part of the world. So we go to the recommendations. What can we do? Let me be quick to say that the recommendations for these alarming issues raised are many. Some, we need all stakeholders of education on board, like government, educators, NGOs, and all that, to come and support. But for the purposes of this program, I am limiting the recommendations to what we as teachers can do in our little ways to support the girls. So the picture below are just bottle tops. Sometimes we say we don't have the materials to help the children to learn. So I say we should improvise the teaching and learning materials. We should use resources available to us in our communities. I don't think we have to buy bottle tops to write sounds on them for children to put them together to form words, form sentences. And you can see the children are actually working in team. They are very happy manipulating that. What you see next with the children holding the newspapers. Yes, I believe the world is a global village. People understand education now. We can reach out to organizations and companies that buy the newspapers regularly, use it once and they don't use it again. Let's talk to them. Tell them that this is something that is eating up my work. This is something my children will need to make their reading abilities come up. And I am very sure they'll be willing to donate these materials that they may not even use again. We can talk to publishing companies and they can donate some of these materials to us. Next, the image with the marks on it is an online material. I use a lot of materials online. I call them picture cards. They have a host of materials online. You can just Google, let's say, reading material for grade. Then you put the appropriate grade there and you get a host of them. And because they are very simple, they are easy to read. The children love it. They read, they want to take another one. So we can all go online, try and get some of these materials at no cost at all. We can print them on papers. We can write them on manila cards and paste in our class as and when we have to. Next is the use of play-based methodology. There is a saying that children learn, if children cannot learn because of how you teach, then you have to teach the way they learn. And I say the best way children learn is through play. This is not any ordinary play. This is purposeful play. Play that is designed and integrated into your lesson and used in a way that will help you to achieve your lesson objectives at the end of the day. So in the picture with the girl at the center of a circle are sounds written around. You mention a word and the child is supposed to jump to those words to form, those sounds to form the words. It's very interesting. Everybody would like to participate. Next is the picture of the children sitting in a circle. These are young children who like to move about and all that. So all of them are having sounds on a card. And when I mention a word, what you're supposed to do is to go around and check from your colleagues, your friends, which of them has the sound that you can use to form the word I have mentioned. And there are a host of all of these materials that we can share later in our WhatsApp group. You can also follow Right to Play Ghana, who has been giving us training about how to integrate play in our teaching and learning activities. Next is the use of age-appropriate materials. Yes, sometimes it's not like we don't have the materials at all. It's just that we don't grade them well for the children to like them in the first place. So we have sounds on cards. We have books with very beautiful pictures with just 1 or 2 sentences. We have picture cards with a lot of sentences and comprehension questions under them. We have books that you can use based on the children's reading abilities. Also is professional development and community of practice. Yes, I believe that the 21st century teacher is the one that is willing to learn and unlearn each and every day, to share experiences with other teachers. So at the background is a picture of Ghana Association of Teachers of English. We come together, we have professionals. At this particular workshop was the Professor Ladewo Sonu. He is a surgeon and a poet. We're at a workshop. And then we also form these communities of practice where we share knowledge, the challenges we face in our classroom, how people are solving it, what we can also learn from them. And I believe that if teachers will adopt some of these things in their local settings, it will help do a great deal. Next is mentorship, which I am very passionate about. Because of mentorship today, I am here. I am engaging you. My fellow mentees are very excited. Even we as adults, see how we are enthused that our mentors are giving us good comments. They are supporting us, they are encouraging us. You can imagine what that would do for a young girl somewhere. So imagine each teacher mentoring one girl at a time. These are children we have been mentoring over the years. I have students in the university pursuing engineering and all that, just because we had confidence in them. Once they feel you believe in them, you believe they have the potentials, they'll be open up to you. They will share their problems with you. They'll want to learn. They want to do the right things in school to become like you or even better. So mentorship is one of the things that I think is doing a lot across the globe. And if teachers could adopt this in their schools, a lot of girls would be saved and a lot of economic problems will also be solved. Next is supplemental learning and then community engagement. Yes, below are pictures that were taken during the lockdown of schools for almost a year in Ghana. And these children were not having any means to technology to engage in virtual classrooms. So we had to go to hard to reach communities to engage them. And I know some of them wouldn't have come back to school if we had not consistently visited them at home. Supplemental learning is just extra tuition we give to children that need extra support to keep them in school. And community engagement doesn't take anything to do. It doesn't cost anything to invite the parents of children to come to school to talk about the welfare of their children. And we do this by involving chiefs, community leaders, queen mothers, and that is using the community's own resources to solve their problems. Once you do it like that, they don't feel like a foreigner imposing an idea on them, but they themselves are championing the cause to make their children better. In conclusion, I'd like to leave you with a quote from Mother Teresa, that not all of us can do great things, but we can all do little things with great love. And it is with this kind of love that I do the things I do to impact the lives of the children entrusted in my care. Below are my references. And once again, thank you for your audience. My name is Claudia Dwedu. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Claudia, for the inspiring presentation and for sharing your experience working with children. I saw that you're also interested in educating not only girls, but also boys about the issues that you have raised. And this is very important in our context, and I think everywhere else. I'm not sure if you can see the chat box, but everyone is saying, okay, thank you. Thank you. We have one question from Sandy.
I can see it now.
Yeah. Can you see the question from Sandy?
Okay, she said, could you talk more about how that works at your school? Who organizes it? How formal is the program? Yes, so I believe in teamwork. I believe in teamwork is about people knowing the relevance of what you are doing and how it will impact on their work. So you share the ideas with teachers. So we have a group of teachers who are committed to giving this extra support to children. So it's the understanding. One, they appreciate the motive behind. You're able to get them on board. And the most important thing is when it is yielding results. If you are running a program and it's yielding results, people are seeing the change in behavior of the students. People are seeing the girls excel. They come back and they are better off and useful to society. They would definitely like to be part of it. So yes, and we also get support. I go all out with my team. We seek for sponsorship. And once the organization knows that what you are doing is making an impact, they also support us. So we have groups that comes in once in a while to support whatever we do. Okay, I am Pierre also says, tackling menstruation is not easy when we are a man teacher. How to proceed to avoid shaming the students? Yes, if you are a man and you have to, or you encounter a girl that is menstruating and you think that it's a big deal for you, we encourage you to talk to other female teachers around, because some of the girls are even shy of the male teachers getting to know about this. So you can share with other female teachers to help them. And we should all make it a point when we have girls club meetings, we shouldn't leave it for only the female teachers. The male teachers can also come around to learn and know how they can support the female students. Pierre again, he said, that's true. The female students would hardly open up. Okay. Doreen Della, that was a great presentation, Claudia, especially when it comes to girls having to drop out of school because of teenage pregnancy. I go the extra mile. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Doreen. Amira, I don't know whether I left some questions out. Okay.
No, you didn't.
Said, I conducted a project on menstruation hygiene management. Oh, I just missed that one.
This was a comment.
Oh, okay. Okay, so if there are no questions, I'll also like to say my final words. A very big thank you to ELTA Africa and Eve. It has been an excellent learning experience for me, apart from the fact that I've been taken through how to do presentations, how to prepare proposal. I say a very big thank you to my mentor who unconsciously made me realize how important it is for you to make time for other people. This woman makes time for me. She has a very busy schedule, but she's always on time. I've learned how to be organized and be on time for events because of Wendy. I know Wendy is here. She's my biggest cheerleader. And I say a very big thank you to all of you, my co-mentees, and the audience. I can see a lot of teachers from Ghana joining the platform. And I say thank you to all of you for always having confidence in what we do. I know that it will go a long way to impart on other young girls and other female teachers. Thank you. And to you, Amira, you're amazing. And you have proven to us that, yes, women can do it. For you to become Africa ELTA president, there are so many male competitors out there, but you pulled out and you are an inspiration to all of us. Thank you.
Thank you, Claudia. You too, you inspired all of us tonight. Irene?
Hello, everyone. I hope you can hear me, Amira.
Yes, we can hear you well.
Yeah. Our next presenter is Chime Izuchukwulite. So Chime Izuchukwulite is a classroom teacher in Nigeria. She is very passionate about integrating technology in the classroom. Light works with teachers through a platform where she organizes workshops for teachers. Her presentation today is about using technology to teach creative writing, specifically on creating a storyboard. So Light, I hope you are ready to take us through this technology of creating a storyboard. The floor is yours, Light.
Thank you very much. I hope everybody can hear me. Hello, everybody, and it's a very wonderful opportunity to be here. I hope everybody can hear me, so I'll just kick off immediately. I'll be sharing my screen now. Okay. So basically, the reason for choosing this topic is because I've been working with teachers over time, and I've observed that lots of teachers feel that technology in the classroom is not possible, and they have their different reasons. We all remember that during the COVID-19 pandemic period, it was a very tough one for me, and I'm very sure it was also a tough learning process for every educator in this room. But during that period, there is something I actually learned. And a lot of times it was thinking about subjects, talking about science, math. It seemed easy to use tech to teach those topics. But when it comes to a topic or when it comes to a subject like creative writing, how do you teach that? That's a question. And that is why I chose to talk about this because I'll be sharing my experience and how I was able to use technology to teach the creative writing. But my focus today is on the storyboard.
Light, sorry, we can't see your screen. Can you please share again?
Oh, okay. I hope you can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you well, but we can't see the slides.
Okay, thank you. I'll be sharing it again. Okay, so basically during this period, I had to really experiment with a lot of tech tools. And the one that really caught my attention, or the one that I really loved so much, was using the Google Slides to be able to create storyboards with my children, my students in the class. I don't know, I'm kind of having issues with sharing this. Can you see the screen now, please?
Not yet.
Okay, I've reshared it. I don't know if you can see it now.
Yes, we see it now.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so just moving on to the topic, using technology to create a storyboard. I think I'll just go on this. I don't know what is really happening at this point, but let me just move on. Okay, so like I was saying, I had a lot of issues, or there were lots of challenges using the tech tools in the classroom at that point, which was during the online classroom. So at this point, I had to really sit down and critically analyze on what I was really going to do and how I was going to make sure that the students were able to have active learning using the tech tools, and that's why I used the Google Slide. Okay, firstly, before we move on, I want us to quickly look at this picture. Can you see a picture on your screen, everybody? Can you look at this picture and in the chat box, type some words you can see in the picture on the screen. Please, can you see the picture?
Yes.
Okay, so I want everybody to look at the picture and type the words you can see in this picture.
Light, can you read the words or should I read for you?
No, I want people are already answering. They're just, okay, I want us to see, there are words in the picture. When you look closely on the chair, on the cat, no, when it's on the rug, there are some pictures, there are some words in the picture. So you have to look at it closely to be able to say the words in the picture. Okay, yes, thank you. Someone is saying page. Thank you, Linda. Okay, well, we are looking for words in the picture. Page is here, move, page. Okay, thank you very much. So we have look, we have page, we have look, we have page, we have words, we have story also in the picture. Thank you so much. So I move on to the next thing we're going to talk about. We're going to be quickly talking about, okay, today we're talking about creative writing and technology. We look at the writing process, which is the storyboard. We look at creating a storyboard with Google Slide. That is also close to Google Docs, and the benefits of using technology to create a storyboard. So let's look at writing and technology. Like we all know that creative writing, first of all, it involves creativity. So you have to think outside the box, and you have to be able to do something out of the extraordinary, out of the ordinary, for your students to be able to take active part in your class. Now, creating storyboards with the Google slide can be very simple. I'm going to be sharing a video later on because I don't want to start hanging at this point in time and delaying the whole process. It's quite easy, and that was one thing that I did during my classes online. Okay, this is just a sample of the Google slide, storyboard on Google slide. But let me just show you a simple video on how to create this. And let's see how it goes. Okay, can we see the video on the screen, please? If you can, kindly let me know. Okay, can we see the video on the screen?
Yes, we see the video.
Okay. So at this point, this is a video that shows us a step-by-step way of creating a storyboard using the Google slide. So it's the same thing you can also do on your Microsoft PowerPoint, or you can also do it on your Microsoft Word, the ones you're very familiar with. So what you have to do at this point is to change your page format to an A4 size, which is usually 11 by 8 inches. Then you insert different shapes. I chose to insert a shape that looks like a square, just to give it a slight kind of design and make it attractive for my students to be able to write their story or anything they want to do there. Then I make it transparent, and I chose to increase the border by 4, making it very thick so that every child will be able to see and differentiate the different shapes and different spaces I want them to write their stories in. Okay, so after doing it, I then add an arrow. So the arrow shows a sequence between the stories. You're able to see the children be able to understand, okay, I need to write the first one at this point in time, I need to write the second one and the third one in the different boxes. And also, you can also use it to show the transition. You can use it to show the transition. You can tell them, okay, first at this point, then using these connectives to be able to show the different stories or the different paragraphs of their stories. Okay, so this is how it comes out at the point with the arrows. You can add colors to it if you want to. I chose to add colors right to my own arrow. But the arrow really makes a lot of sense because the children are able to understand at every point what they need to do. Okay, at this point, I want to write the first story. In the second box, I want to write the second part of the story. And it goes on and on like that. Okay, so this is just a step-to-step creation or a step-by-step way on how you can create your storyboard. And this is the final one. This is how it comes out looking at the end of the day. This is how my storyboard came out looking. And this is a sample of a storyboard by one of my students, her name is Jumoke. She was writing a story on the air and the tortoise. So she was able to use this to type a story in this storyboard. What I did was after creating that, I have to share it with the students. Most of the students have their email addresses, so I shared it to them, and they were able to write the different stories. And I just have to take this sample to show us at this point in time. Okay, so this is the storyboard written by Jumoke, and she's talking about the tortoise and the air. This is another sample written by David. So at this point, David is not writing the words. One thing I like about the storyboard, or one thing I like about this particular template I use, which I encourage my students to also do, is to use pictures. You can use pictures to depict your story. You can do anything you want to do. And here, because they have access, they are able to insert pictures on their own. They pasted the pictures, David pasted pictures to show the different different paragraphs that were discussed in the story. And also it was easy for him to remember because at a point I had to encourage him to do a presentation of the story. So just looking at the pictures reminded him of, oh, okay, the first picture shows that the hare was a very fast person, was a very fast animal, sorry. Then tortoise showed him that, oh, tortoise came to challenge him and there was a race. Then the hare was sleeping and finally tortoise won the race. So this, just looking at this, was able to make David understand the story. And David used this format because he's on the lower primary, and this is what he could relate with. Okay. Now there are the benefits of using this. It's easy to share, it's easy to learn, and it's simple to design. Just like I showed you, it does not take up to 5 or 10 minutes to design that storyboard and share with your classroom. And you can also go through the story, through the writing process with your students on Google Doc. Okay, so at this point, we know what the writing process is, what the writing process is. And just like the rainbow, technology also has color to our writing, to creative writing. It's not just for you to write and remember then when you have a lot of words and there are no pictures or there are no colors to it, you may get bored. The students may just get tired. But with the tech tools in your classroom, you can integrate them and add colors to your writing process. We know the writing process, the rewriting process, the writing process, the revise process. So you can use the Google slide to go through this process, the rewrite process, the proofread process, and the publish process. So though my focus is on the storyboard, but you can use the Google Doc to go through every of this process. You share with your students, you can comment even on the Google slide, they send it back to you for feedback to review, they go back to rewrite their story again, then you can proofread again and they can publish it. Either they present it or they can share it maybe on the blog, on the site, or something. And that way you're making your students more confident. Other tools that you can use for your storyboard includes the Zoom, the Canva, and WhatsApp. There are so many other tools, but I'll just be limiting myself to this. You can use Zoom, just like we are using Zoom to do our video conferencing now. You can also use Zoom for your creative writing classes. Then you can use Canva. Canva is a design app that helps to design it has a lot of templates that you can use with your students in the class. You can also use WhatsApp. I'll be showing us an example. This is an example where I planned the story map on Zoom. Okay, and this is how it is. This is a story of the tortoise and the hare. I was trying to plan a story map in a Zoom class. So while talking to my students, I just designed this and I told them, okay, what happened in the beginning? Okay, so group 2, I put them into different breakout rooms and I had to ask, okay, what happened in the middle? What happened in the end? And they came together and I just did this. So this way they're able to remember the story. They're able to, when they want to write a story themselves, they know what they want to write. Okay, then storyboard on Canva is also a sample of storyboard on Canva. This is about the mouse and the lion. How the mouse ran over the lion was angry, and lion was caught in the net later on, and the mouse helped him out. This is a storyboard on Canva. This was created by an elementary school child, and I just had to adapt it. Okay, then also using WhatsApp. I love emojis on WhatsApp, because you can use emojis to communicate different things. So at a point, I had to adopt WhatsApp for some students that did not have their email or they don't have access to laptop, but actually maybe their parents had a phone and they could use it. So just short stories, you can share with an emoji. The lion was angry and you show the angry face. It was happy, you show the happy face. So we just have to go through that process, and it helps the children to be able to use these tools for their creative writing. Okay, then this is the WhatsApp status. I have to do this, the child do this, and I have to just crop it to insert for this presentation. So this is a storyboard, said the turtles and the hare. She used the images, the emojis actually, and this is how it looks like. I was really wowed by this because I never really expected it from her, but I was happy she was able to think outside the box and to come up with it. Okay. So the feedback from my students are really wonderful, sincerely. Someone, Adenike says it's fun and I get to do things my way. Joyce says I like Baby Dog. I feel like a writer, although I like the jam boy better because of the sticky note. Inserting pictures is a fun part of the storyboard by David. Real pictures help me think and write better. Okay. As a freebie, let me just put it that way. You may ask, I don't have tech in my classroom, I don't have tech in my school, I don't even have this. So how do I even work? How can I teach creative writing in a fun way? Okay, you can use post-it notes. You can use post-it notes. I have one here. I'm going to turn on my video so I can show it quickly. Okay, so this is a sample of a post-it note. And as simple and as small as this is very useful in the classroom. Okay, so one thing that a post-it note can do, you can share the post-it note with your students. You can create maybe just put a cardboard to the side of the classroom and you give them post-it notes. They should write the sequence of a story and they post it on the cardboard, or they post it on the wall, or they post it on something that helps them remember, okay, the story, or create a, so that way you're creating a storyboard using the post-it note. You can draw those templates that I've drawn on the Google slides. You can draw it on an A4 paper and share it with your students also. Then we have the circle on the sand game. You can draw it, it's an outdoor game. You draw a circle on the sand or a circle on the floor, and your students come around it. You can divide into sections. There we have the beginning, the second part of the story, and the conclusion. So you just tell them, so what happened at this point? The child talks, moves to the next child. So that way you're going in circles. They're telling you the different stories. They want to create their storyboard. They're telling you, okay, I'm in the beginning part of the circle. So I think at this point during the air and turtle story, the air was very proud and he came out and posted to the whole village that he was the fastest runner. So when you go around that way, you're surprised that you find that your students are outspoken and they're able to create a storyboard that way. Then also you can use the group work. Group work is very important. Teamwork is also very, very important as a teacher, and I really encourage us to use that in our classroom. That way they're able to collaborate, form stories by themselves, and post their storyboards writing. So the beauty of teaching creative writing with technology has a lot of benefits. It's creativity. I love that part because it makes the children creative, it stimulates their imagination. They're seeing colors, they're seeing textures, and they want to just create. The role play part, it brings the real world into the classroom. So the truth is we are preparing the students for the global world, and we want them to be able to go out there, outside Africa, to be able to compete well with their peers out there. And what other way than integrating these tech tools in your classroom? These students are going to end up becoming editors. They're going to end up becoming blog writers. They're going to end up working in press companies, and they're going to be using tech tools. So why don't you just allow them to explore this if you have the privilege to? Okay, then also it engages and encourages critical thinking. It makes them think and they want to write. Okay, and students are actively learning. When you integrate tech tools into your creative writing classroom or any other classroom, any other class, students are active and they are willing to write. They are actively learning, and it transforms. Students see possibilities. So if you as a teacher don't have the growth mindset to use tech tools in your classroom or to use tech tools to teach creative writing or to create a storyboard, your students will be seeing possibilities. They won't see possibilities, but once you start using it, they're like, wow, my teacher uses this, so I can do it. So it encourages them. And at the end of the day, you can measure the progress. Remember, I explained to you that you can actually use these tools in every way, for all the writing process. So in that way, it encourages, you can measure the progress of the child or the students in your classroom. Okay, so at this point, I want to say thank you. But before I say thank you, I will just quickly want to share this quote with us. Okay, sorry, it was at the beginning. I skipped that. So, our ability with this quote, writing is truly a creative art. Putting words to a blank piece of paper and ending with a full-fledged story with character plot. So, integrating tech into your creative writing is a big one. You know, so I also want to say this, that tech will not replace teachers. It won't. But teachers that are not willing to seize the opportunity to use tech in their classroom in any way, little way you can, or you may be surprised that you may just be out of the game at the end of the day. So thank you very much, everybody. I'm sorry for the technical itch. I am Chime Izuchukwu, and it's a wonderful privilege to be part of this community. Thank you.
Thank you, Light. I'm very sure you can read your chat box and see the messages, the comments people are sending. And there was a question on law resources, but I see you have covered that in your presentation. Just go through the comments and you can see if there are any questions from the participants.
Okay. Okay. Oh, okay. Thank you very much, everyone. I can see a lot of feedback. Oh, the slide. Can I say, okay. I can't see any question. Amira, I don't know if I'm missing out anything, but please, I can't see any question at this point. Fine. Okay. I can't see any question anyway.
There's a question.
Okay.
There's a question from Sandy. Yeah.
Okay. Please, can you help me with the question, please?
Do you ever have students
who are reluctant to use a storyboard, and how do you encourage them? Okay, the first thing is what I do is I make them understand for creative writing, though for you to get a good writing, which we all know, planning is a major one. Planning is a key one. So what I do is to let them understand that you need to plan. It's just important. And the best way to plan is using the storyboard. It's easier. You're able to draft and remember your ideas. Of course, the truth is right now, many students don't even want to write using the pen. And that's why the tech tools even comes in handy. And what I do is to encourage them is to let them know that we're just drafting, just brainstorming, just something short, just summary. But when it now comes to the rewriting, because they've done the storyboard and it was really interesting to them, they are willing to write more. And that's okay, you have to write more details on this storyboard. You have to add flesh to this thing now. So they have to just add flesh to it. And that way they're writing. I hope I answered the question, Sandy. Okay. Somebody, Malimate said he actually wrote a question. Please, Mali, I can't see your question. Can you write it again, please?
I'm currently looking for it. So she said, how can we adapt this in a large class of 100 students? That was a question from Fatih.
Okay, Fatih. Well, the truth is that can be a bit challenging. But when you have, like I said, when you have access to using the tech tools, you can actually group your students into different groups. And they don't really have to talk about just one story. They can explore more than one story. So for it to be effective, you have to group them. You can't just put 100 and expect for you to get to maximum results. So you have to group them into a group of 10, a group of 20. So what you can do is, for example, using the Google Slides, you can give a group of 10, create a storyboard, giving them a template, or you can tell them to design a template. If they can design it themselves, then you tell them to do a presentation to the class. So that way you've achieved something. You're able to, they're able to come together, brainstorm, create a storyboard, and to talk about it to the whole class. So that way you've able to develop their presentation skills, able to develop their creative writing skills, and even their communication skills. So you've done 3 in 1 already. Thank you. Okay.
Okay.
So I guess at this point, okay, I guess if there are no more questions, thank you to everybody. Thank you to my audience. I was like, wow, but thank you very much. And I really want to thank my mentor, Lottie Harrison. She has been a wonderful person. She has been on me, trying to help me and make sure that I got this right. And I'm happy I did. Thank you so much, Lottie. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Amira. You're a very wonderful person, a go-to person at all times. I'm so happy. I also want to thank my fellow mentees together in this program. It has been a wonderful meeting people from different countries. It has been an awesome experience. And I thank African ELTA, Eve, for this opportunity. And I'm so sure I'm not going to take it lightly. Take it beyond this. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you so much to everybody on this Zoom call. Thank you for taking out time out of your busy schedule to watch and learn. And I hope you've learned from my presentation. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Light. I guess that was our last presentation. Back to you, Madam President.
Thank you, Irene, for the moderation. And I have to mention that Irene is one of our teachers from last year. She participated in last year's program, and she was one of the teachers who have really become stars now, presenting at many events at Africa ELTA and also at ELTA in Tanzania. Thank you, Irene, and thank you, Light, for the great presentation, great ending of the day. And I would like to say thank you to all our presenters tonight, Marie, Yabu, Claudia, and Light. Next week on Saturday, we are going to continue with the second part of this webinar with 5 presentations from different speakers from different African countries as well. And I would like to say also thank you to the mentors tonight and also for next week. I would like to end with the group photo. So I would like to ask the teachers and the mentors, especially to open their videos so we can take a group photo. And of course, the audience, you're welcome to join in the photo. Okay, I see Hadiza and Sanzi, Sarah, Roti. Okay. Okay, let's take, it's like more than one page. So I'm going to take the first one here. Great, and the second one. Excellent. Thank you, everyone, and I will see you next week on Saturday. Have a great night. Bye-bye.
Bye.